Good morning, honourable members. It is my duty to call upon you to elect a chair. Are there any nominations? MPP Saunderson?
I nominate MPP Babikian.
Are there any further nominations? There being no further nominations, I declare the nominations closed and MPP Babikian elected chair of the committee.
Good morning, everyone. I call this meeting of Standing Committee on Heritage, Infrastructure and Cultural Policy to order. We are meeting today to begin public hearing on Bill 110, an act to enact the Building Billy Bishop Airport Act 2026. The clerk of the committee has distributed today's meeting documents virtually via SharePoint. To ensure that everyone who speaks is heard and understood, it is important that all participants speak slowly and clearly. Please wait until I recognize you before starting to speak. As always, all comments should go through the chair. Are there any questions before we begin? See none. I will now call Minister Prambit Sarkaria to make his deputation. As a reminder, each presenter will have 7. My apology, I jumped the queue. I will now call on Minister Sarkaria. Minister, you will have 20 minutes to make an opening statement, followed by 39 minutes of questions from the members of the committee. This time for questions will be divided into 2 rounds of 6 minutes and a half for government members, 2 rounds of 6 minutes and a half to the official opposition members, and 2 rounds of 6 minutes and a half to the third party. Are there any questions? See none. I call upon Minister Sarkaria to start his deputation.
Well, good morning. Thank you very much, Chair, for the opportunity to be here, and thank you to all the members that are present as well. Look forward to having this discussion with you and the opportunity to engage on this very important piece of legislation. Our government is focused Toronto's long-term success, and we have championed this city since we've taken office. We were elected on a promise to protect Ontario. This means protecting the economic engine of this province and country. It means stopping at nothing to elevate Ontario and Toronto's standing on the world stage. And it means doing everything in our power to unlock the full potential of Billy Bishop Airport. We've made historic investments in Toronto's infrastructure to tackle gridlock, shorten travel times, and drive economic growth across the city and province. Our new deal for Toronto committed $9 billion to support transit, housing, and critical infrastructure. And as a part of that deal, we're conducting due diligence to upload the Gardiner Expressway and Don Valley Parkway to the province. This will ensure that both highways remain safe, reliable, and in good state of repair. And most importantly, that they remain toll-free for the city's drivers. We are building a new state-of-the-art Ontario Place that will attract millions of visitors annually, generating economic benefits for years to come. We're investing in a new OPP detachment at Ontario Place to keep Toronto's roads safe. And now we have the opportunity to unlock Billy Bishop Airport, something that could accommodate millions of visitors each year and generate hundreds of millions of dollars in economic output for Toronto and our province. The Toronto Port Authority has a bold vision to expand Billy Bishop Airport to capitalize on the airport's full potential, maximize good-paying jobs for Ontario's aviation, tourism, and construction industries. It's our duty to protect Ontario, our duty to make the investments that will spur economic growth here in Toronto and across the province. That's why we're proud to put our support behind the modernization and expansion of Billy Bishop. Billy Bishop is a critical and underused part of Ontario's transportation infrastructure, and we are stepping in to help unlock its next phase of growth. Our government is supporting the long-term modernization and expansion of Billy Bishop Airport by moving to assume the City of Toronto's responsibilities in the tripartite agreement and take ownership of the city-owned airport lands in exchange for fair compensation. An expanded Billy Bishop will help meet rising demand, relieve the pressure on Pearson, increase competition, give travelers more choice, and create good-paying jobs. These are the kinds of infrastructure investments Ontario needs to stay competitive, support future growth, and keep people in this province moving. We tabled the Building Transit Faster Act to streamline project delivery and accelerate provincial transit projects for the city, such as the Ontario Line subway. We introduced the Reducing Gridlock and Saving You Time Act to accelerate construction of Highway 413 and the Bradford Bypass, which will save drivers across the GTA valuable time each day. With the Building Billy Bishop Airport Act, we are doubling down on our commitment to building infrastructure that will make Toronto stronger. We are taking a stand against the naysayers and showing that we can accomplish when the Government of Ontario puts its full weight behind the City of Toronto. Currently, Billy Bishop Airport serves approximately 2 million passengers each year. Billy Bishop connects Toronto to about 20 cities across Canada and the United States. The airport generates about $1.8 billion in economic output each year and contributes $900 million to Ontario's GDP. But it could do so much more, and it will do so much more. According to the Toronto Port Authority, expanding the airport could attract millions of more travelers annually, contributing an estimated $8.5 billion to Canada's economy each year by 2050 and support close to 23,000 jobs in Ontario's construction sector alone. We're doing our part to make that vision a reality, to unleash Billy Bishop's airport's full economic potential by adding more routes, more convenience for millions of travelers across this province. We can do this. And through our government support, make improvements to the terminal building and enhance access to Toronto's waterfront as a part of this process. We will stop at nothing to protect Ontario, and expand the Billy Bishop Airport expanding it will unlock opportunities that will transform travel across Southern Ontario and Northern Ontario for generations to come. We're only weeks away from FIFA World Cup 2026 kicking off right here in our city in Toronto, with thousands of tourists from around the world expected to come through the city. Our government has gone through great lengths with the City of Toronto to ensure visitors to this city enjoy a world-class experience when they are here. We supported the City of Toronto with a $73 million investment to accelerate repairs to the Gardiner Expressway. And thanks to that collaboration and thanks to that investment, that work has completed more than a year and a half ahead of schedule. That saves our economy almost $273 million a year, and saving 140,000 drivers who use the Gardiner Expressway up to 22 minutes per trip. We knew we had to reopen the Gardiner, and we got the job done. That is just one example of this government's decisive decision-making that has helped improve travel options in Toronto. We're restoring vehicle lanes on some of the city's busiest streets so drivers spend less time in bumper-to-bumper traffic and more time with their families. We are harmonizing municipal road building standards across the GTA so Toronto and other cities in the GTA can build the roads that people are counting on and using every single day. In addition to carrying out due diligence work to upload the DVP and the Gardner Expressway to the province, we're also looking at bold new ways to fight gridlock in the GTA and the City of Toronto. That includes the studying of the feasibility of building a driver transit tunnel underneath a section of the 401 highway. A revolutionary concept that would dramatically improve traffic flow along one of the most congested highway corridors in North America. We are building Highway 413, which will save thousands of drivers in York, Peel, and Halton regions up to 30 minutes per trip. And last week, we announced shovels are in the ground on the Bradford Bypass, a new 4-lane highway that will save drivers in York Region and Simcoe County up to 35 minutes per trip. We're twinning the Garden City Skyway Bridge on the QEW, a critical route to Niagara Falls. We are laying the groundwork to widen Highway 401 in Durham Region and Highway 400 in Barrie. And drivers across the GTA have had enough of sitting in bumper-to-bumper traffic, and we've heard from them loud and clear. That's why we are making historic investments in transportation infrastructure to fight gridlock and cut commute times and keep people moving. Each of these investments in highways and roads will ensure drivers across the GTA can get where they're going quickly and easily each day, and ensure visitors to Toronto can experience everything Southern Ontario has to offer without being stuck in gridlock. The expansion of Billy Bishop Airport is the next step in our journey to support Toronto's economy by investing in world-class transportation infrastructure. And we look forward to this city welcoming millions more visitors from around the globe each year. Public transit is a key driver of our economy and our quality of life. And as we move forward to enable the Toronto Port Authority's expansion of Billy Bishop Airport, we'll be welcoming more business travelers and tourists to Ontario. And they'll be counting on our public transit to get where they're going. Our government is investing nearly $70 billion over the next 10 years. It is pegged as the largest expansion in public transit in North American history. It is the greatest and largest expansion of subways in Canadian history as well. With the FIFA World Cup just around the corner, these investments have never been more important. We're increasing GO Transit service during specific events like the World Cup to accommodate larger crowds, to move them through public transit. We're adding more bus trips from downtown Toronto to Niagara Falls so visitors to the city can experience Canada's top tourist destinations. And our historic GO expansion program will deliver two-way, all-day services on GO Transit's busiest rail routes. Our GO expansions and extensions will deliver new and improved service to communities in Durham Region, Kitchener-Waterloo, Hamilton, and Niagara. To date, we've spent close to $15 billion to deliver faster and more frequent service across the GO network, and we're seeing these results. We recently launched the first ever weekend service from Toronto to Kitchener, making it easier to access to the finest Oktoberfest activities outside of Germany. This summer, we're launching Gold Rail service from Toronto to Stratford, making it easier than ever for thousands of visitors to get to the world-renowned Stratford Festival. We've broken ground on the Bowmanville extension, which will extend the Lakeshore Line almost 20 kilometers deeper into Durham Region. And we opened the Confederation GO Station in Hamilton and completed upgrades to West Harbour GO Station that are saving almost 250,000 commuters in St. Catharines and Niagara Falls 15 minutes per round trip. Construction is underway at Caledonia GO in Toronto, a new station on the Barrie Line that will serve as a vital transportation hub for commuters and tourists. We have shovels in the ground at Woodbine Go, a new station on the Kitchener line that will provide a direct connection to Woodbine Racetrack. Each of these investments will allow commuters and tourists to travel throughout the GTA effortlessly. The Eglinton Crosstown and the Finch West LRT are up and running, transporting more than 100,000+ commuters across Toronto each day. Construction is underway across the entirety of the Ontario line, which will give the City of Toronto 15 new subway stations. Wait times for the next train on the Ontario line could be as low as 90 seconds. 400,000 people will move through this line each and every single day once it is operational. We are moving forward to build the Yonge North subway extension, which will extend the TTC's Line 1 subway to Vaughan, Markham, and Richmond Hill for the first time. The Scarborough subway extension will extend the TTC's Line 2 subway by almost 8 kilometers. We're tunneling the final segment of the Eglinton Crosstown West extension, which will bring Line 5 Eglinton to Mississauga, opening a new world of possibilities for thousands of commuters across the GTA. With each of these projects, we are building an integrated transit network that will improve connectivity across the GTA. Whether you live here or you're visiting, it's never been easier to get around or more affordable. We recently extended the One Fare program, which is saving transit riders up to $1,600 a year by allowing free transfers between the TTC and GO Transit and participating transit agencies across the GTA. And since One Fare launch, the program has enabled 82 million free transfers, saving Ontarians more than $264 million, money back into their pockets. We recently tabled legislation that, if passed, would pave the way for One Fare 2.0. There has never been a better time to take transit in the GTA, and we're continuing to make service faster, easier, more convenient, and also more reliable. We're building a world-class transit network that will support growth, create jobs, and keep our economy moving. And by supporting the expansion of Billy Bishop Airport, we are taking another step forward to strengthen connectivity across the region. As Ontario faces growing economic uncertainty, we have a responsibility to build the infrastructure our economy needs to stay competitive. I'm proud to be a part of the government that is taking action to support Toronto's long-term economic growth and strengthen Ontario's transportation network. The Billy Bishop Act would allow the province to take control of city-owned lands at the airport in exchange for fair compensation. The province would also assume the role of the city in the tripartite agreement governing the airport, allowing us to partner with the Toronto Port Authority and the federal government to make this expansion project a success. And as always, we will commit and fully meet our duty to consult with Indigenous communities. We will also continue to uphold strong environmental protections as we move this work forward. Billy Bishop has an enormous potential to support Toronto's growth, Ontario's growth, as well as Canada's growth. It can strengthen regional connectivity and give travelers more choice. We cannot let that potential go unrealized. And Toronto is a world-class city. If we look across major North American regions at Toronto scale, relying on more than one commercial airport or a multi-airport system is necessary. Houston, for example, has Bush and Hobby. Dallas has DFW and Love Field. South Florida has Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Palm Beach. New York has JFK, LaGuardia, Newark. Chicago has O'Hare and Chicago Mid-May. An idea that a region the size of the GTA should make better use of Billy Bishop is not radical, it is common sense. We cannot, as I said before, let that potential go unrealized. And that is why we tabled the Building Billy Bishop Airport Act, to unlock that full potential of one of Ontario's most important transportation assets, something that will provide opportunities for generations to come. It will help reduce congestion, travel cost, and economic competitiveness. And that is why we need to continue to drive forward on a project like this. Supporting the long-term modernization and expansion of Billy Bishop Airport is critical as a part of Ontario's plan for the future to remain competitive. And as Chair, as we see south of the border, we need to ensure that Toronto, Ontario, Canada is more self-reliant, is more resilient, is more competitive when we look into the future. We need to ensure that our economy has every opportunity possible to build to scale. When we look across Canada, we see our political leaders speaking about nation-building projects, about making sure that we build not only for today, not for the next 5 years, but for generations to come. And at this point in time in our country's history, we must unite under large infrastructure projects that will change the way we commute, change the way we do business in this province. Billy Bishop is one of Ontario's...
1 minute.
Billy Bishop is one of Ontario's busiest airports. It is one of Canada's busiest airports, serving over 20 cities across Canada and North America. That is why we will continue to work to ensure that the residents of Ontario have better travel options, there's more competition in the airline industry, and more service to remote rural communities that are serviced through Billy Bishop, like those in Northern Ontario. With that, Chair, I thank you for the opportunity to speak before the committee and its members, and I will turn it back over to you to start our round of conversation or discussion with our members with respect to this piece of legislation. Thank you very much, Chair, and I will pass it back over to you.
Thank you, Minister, for your presentation. Before we start the first round of questioning, I would like to bring to the attention of the committee two important issues to keep the quorum of the meeting and be more productive. First of all, when you ask questions, please allow the witnesses to answer the question as they see it fit. Second, focus your questions on Bill 110 and don't try to interject any other issues not related to Bill 110. So thank you very much for your attention. We will start this round with the government side. MPP Grewal, you have the government side, you have 6.5 minutes. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you, Minister, for your presentation today. The questions I want to put to you is more so, how is this airport expansion going to support Ontarians, not just in Toronto, but outside of Toronto? What kind of connectivity is this going to increase for the average commuter that flies? Would this increase competition? Would this have any impact on fares? And in general, what kind of economic impact is this going to bring to our city and to our province? And I'm just going to start with you there.
Yeah, thank you very much for that question. I think, let's start with the first part about northern connectivity or to communities in Northern Ontario. We've seen in the past couple of years a significant reduction in service and options for passengers in the north. Having a strong airport like Billy Bishop is going to be very key to continuing to ensure that communities like the north remain serviced. Right now, there's a significant amount of individuals that from the north that use Billy Bishop Airport to commute into very important communities, Timmins being an example, and I think you'll hear from the CEO of the Timmins Hospital later today about the importance of making sure that you have continued access and what it means when some of that air access is then restricted, what it means from a health perspective, what it means from attracting physicians, doctors, and the workforce in those communities to support a better quality of life. And so when we look at Billy Bishop and we look at the opportunity it presents, it's not just a Toronto opportunity, and that's what is so important. It is a Canada, not only a Canada-wide, but also a province-wide opportunity, especially in communities like the North. And when we take it a step further with respect to, what does it mean for travelers or, those who use air travel across this province? There's many advantages to having a second airport. You spoke to competition. Anytime we have competition, we see an opportunity for prices to decrease. We've seen that Billy Bishop has just put forward and completed a $30 million investment from the federal government in pre-clearance. That pre-clearance has now allowed additional flights into different communities in the U.S. I believe some of those being Chicago, LaGuardia, and Nashville as well. And that gives options for travelers in all of Ontario, a different airport to use to get to where they need to go. Pearson is one of the busiest airports in the world. It connects a significant amount of international passengers, and they've done a great job at it. And this is almost can be seen as a complementary, but also something that will support travelers across this province. So the more options that our travelers can have, if you're coming in from the Durham region and you want to don't want to go all the way to Pearson, and you want to use Billy Bishop, or if you live in the city core, you can use Billy Bishop instead of having going to Pearson. Those are all the benefits that this airport can derive for an individual passenger. So the benefits are significant, and that is why we're driving forward with this approach of supporting the North and also supporting more air travel options for consumers across the province.
So, Minister, in your remarks earlier, you spoke about this being a nation-building project, how it's something for Canada, something for Ontario, something for Toronto. What are we looking at in terms of GDP numbers, investments, job creation during construction, and all of the added benefits that come to local residents with this project?
Yeah, so if we look at, how important Billy Bishop is just for Ontario's economy, there are currently close to 4,900 people employed by Billy Bishop almost directly through their services. As these operations increase, that number can get up to close to 10,000 employees. So that tells you how many people just depend on Billy Bishop just for a paycheck every single day. When you look at, a 25-year period, you can see economic output of almost $140 billion derived from Billy Bishop in the future as we continue this modernization and continue the opportunity to attract more investment, to attract more people, tourists, businesses, everything put together. If you look at just on the economic contribution of Billy Bishop today in Ontario, it's close to $900 million in economic output for Ontario's GDP. And when we tie this all back, this is so important for us from a competitiveness perspective. Why are we talking about nation-building projects today? It's because of the threat we face from south of the border, where, now we have to become more self-reliant, we have to become more resilient, and we have to become a nation that can, survive on its own. And how do you do that? You build world-class transportation infrastructure across this province, and that's exactly what we are doing through this. Not only is it going to create thousands of jobs during the construction time period, thousands of jobs, full-time jobs in the operations of this airport, but it will make Ontario, it will make Toronto, it will make Canada that much more competitive on a national scale. And that is why we have to march forward on this project. That is why we have to get shovels in the ground, support the Toronto Port Authority on this modernization plan, and continue to enable this airport to be a success moving forward. We can also look at this from...
Thank you, Minister. The time is up for this round for the government. We move to the official opposition. MPP Glover.
Okay, thank you very much. And I'll ask the Minister to give brief, succinct answers. Our members have come from as far away as Thunder Bay with questions that our residents have asked us to ask the Minister. So, yes or no, has a business case been done for the expansion of Billy Bishop to allow jets?
Look, Toronto Port Authority has led numerous reports, numerous amount of work on this process. You see to date that we've got over 2 million passengers. The federal government just invested $30 million into pre-clearance
I'll take
into
that
this
as
airport.
a no, because I didn't hear, yes, there's a
Well,
business case. If there is a
you
business...
can't put words into my mouth, but I'm going to continue to tell you that they continue to do this, and they continue, as they've been very transparent
I'm going to reclaim my time. My next question is, on March 23rd, when the Premier announced that he would be expanding Billy Bishop to allow for 10 million passengers and jets, he said the federal government is on board with the plan. When did the conversations with the federal government begin?
Well, look, we always have conversations with the federal government on a variety of issues, and we'll continue to engage as myself as a Minister of Transportation. I'll continue to meet with the Federal Minister of Transportation. The Premier has worked very closely with the Prime Minister, especially in the wake of the threats south of the border, to continue to make sure that we're protecting Ontario and that we're putting forward
my time. So
everything
are you
that we
saying
can to move
then
forward.
that the federal government, are you confirming what the Premier said, that the federal government is on board with the plan to have jets at Billy Bishop?
Where they're going to work with us, and you can see the statements from NATA, you can see the statements from the Prime Minister, you can see the statements from the Federal Minister of Transportation on the modernization of Billy Bishop. And so if you'd like to get their comment on it, I suggest you ask them, but we're working with them to move this forward on a process moving forward.
Okay, so the Billy Bishop Airport is Canada's smallest airport, sandwiched between high-rises on the waterfront and the Toronto Islands, which acts as a bird sanctuary with 40,000 cormorants in a high season, 1,100 tundra swans flying across in a 4-hour. There's literally hundreds of thousands of birds, which all could lead to bird strikes, like the one that led to the crashing of the jet in the Hudson River with the Miracle on the Hudson. So it's in the most dangerous location. It's Canada's smallest airport, and your government proposes to have jets landing 200 meters from an elementary school every 2.5 minutes. Would you send your children to that school?
Well, first of all, safety is our primary concern. Transport Canada guidelines will dictate safety. That is why that we're moving forward the first phase of the expansion on the runway. To suggest that safety wouldn't be front and center in that is kind of ridiculous to MPP Glover. This is a project, and I think we should move away from the sensationalization and comments like that, because Billy Bishop moves over 2 million people every single year, and a lot of people rely on that airport, and it's done so in a very safe manner. Nothing would be done outside of that. Those measures.
The airport already operates with exemptions from Transport Canada's safety standards because it is too close to that school. There's 6 schools within what would be called the prime hazard zone, according to Transport Canada. It's too close to the high rises. It's too close to the bird sanctuaries, both on the Toronto Islands and the Tommy Thompson Park. The risk that you're increasing, so you're going from having turboprops land every 2.5 or every 20 minutes to having jets which suck in birds and can cause catastrophic failure of the engines. You're having jets land every 2.5 minutes. So would you commit to not allowing this airport to expand if it violates Transport Canada's safety standards?
Everything we do is with Transport Canada, MPP Glover, and you know that very well. Anything that's operating today on that island is with the support of Transport Canada. To suggest that they don't support that the safety isn't in place or anything that is quite ridiculous, because that is exactly, they are the governing authority over it. So to suggest that this isn't supported by Transport Canada guidelines, that's ridiculous. We need to move forward. Let's not
I'll tell you, it's not
sensationalize
my
this. There's 2
statement.
million people that use this airport every single year.
I'll reclaim my
Right.
time. It is not my statement that this airport operates with exemptions from Transport Canada safety standards. It is actually a document that we received, an email from an employee of Transport Canada that says that this airport does operate with exemptions from safety standards. I'll pass it over to my colleague, MPP, for. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you very much. Thank you, Minister, for your presentation. I was listening very intently. I'm very curious to know, with respect to business case follow-up questioning, you have not confirmed that the province of Ontario has carried out its own business case, yet you make claims that $8.5 billion of economic output will be derived from the expansion of the Billy Bishop Airport. How much money from the Ontario taxpayers are you committing to expanding this airport?
The only money that we are committing for this airport is the fair value compensation to the City of Toronto. So there was an operating dollars that they lost. They will get that, and a fair market value for the real estate portion that the city gives. No other money will be given
So where's
to
the
anyone.
business case coming from then? Because the government of Ontario has not concluded its own business case, and here you are committing money to take over the
We're
city's
committing money
interests.
to the City of Toronto for taking over their role in the tripartite agreement, any revenue that they lost for the yearly operating that they might have received, or for any real estate. That is the only dollars that we are committing. The rest of it would be covered, as an expansion, like, for example, Pearson. It's a self-funded expansion. Billy Bishop would be a self-funded
Where is
expansion
that
in their
business
own,
Thank you very much.
in
The
their own
time
way.
is up for the official opposition. We will move to the third party. MPP McMahon.
Thank you very much, and good morning, everyone. Such a pleasure to be here with you. And thank you very much, Minister, for your presentation. So I just want to start with how we got here. We have a lot of things the province needs to deal with: healthcare, housing, education, transportation, different transportation, and just wondering what was the impetus or the history to get to the Billy Bishop proposed expansion.
Well, thank you very much, MPP. I think we've seen in the past, and we continue to see a lack of commitment from the City of Toronto to ensure that there's a long-term vision for Billy Bishop. There's 2 million people who use this airport every single year. And when we look at what's happening to this province, this country, because of the threats we face from south of the border, we need to build a more resilient, self-reliant economy. And projects like this will help make Ontario and Toronto more competitive.
So, so there was a city council meeting on. It was in October 2024, and there was a report that was Billy Bishop Toronto City Airport runway and safety areas RESA. And so we know the Billy Bishop Airport is in violation of safety protocols. And so it was proposed to look at the different types, 3 different options for the RESA, 1, 2, and 3. And and so 1 included minimum land mass to meet the regulatory requirement. 2 included that, as well as additional taxiway. And 3 included additional airside roads, sound barrier, and underground utility corridor. And from what I'm hearing, that RESA 3 would have been the best option, considering that 800 vehicles a year pass over that runway, including school buses. So that is worrisome for me. So RESA 3 was not adopted. Is that why you are here today looking at Billy Bishop?
We're here on Billy Bishop because we think it's too important for us not to ensure that it's protected for the long term. It's too important for Toronto, it's too important for Ontario, and it's too important for Canada to give up this opportunity and not ensure that it is here from a long-term perspective. You know, we've heard countless individuals ask for this park to be closed. I mean, for this airport to be turned into a park, for this airport to cease operations, and that just cannot happen. And we have to realize its full potential. It's an underutilized asset of this city and this country and this province, and that is why we are moving forward on a plan to build this expansion.
I don't think it's as easy as waving a magic wand to accomplish what supposedly the government wants to accomplish. But we haven't seen a plan, so we don't fully know. I think the reason people like Billy Bishop is it's a boutique airport. Cute and quaint, and it works well as is, although it needs additional safety requirements. But it does not need to be blown up into a major airport, because we're already spending $3 billion to expand Lester B. Pearson. We have a fantastic major airport there. It's great to have two. You mentioned cities with two. Chicago does not have a waterfront airport because of what Mayor Daley did in carving the X's and saving in the runway and saving the waterfront in Chicago to be the glorious site it is. But you are currently undergoing an expansion of Lester B. Pearson, so the capacity will go from 40-something million to 65 million passengers. At $3 billion price tag, we have the Up Express that gets you there. I personally take the TTC, $3 right across, take the bus, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. So why would you want to shoehorn in a major airport down in one of the most congested intersections in the busiest city in Toronto? Where's the logic on that?
Well, it's complementary, MPP, and I think that's exactly what we're looking at. You know, world-class cities, as I mentioned in my remarks, New York, Chicago,
Not
London
Chicago,
City,
though.
But they do have two airports.
Not on the
all
waterfront.
of these airports, you know, serve a significant opportunity for those regions, those areas to continue to attract more business travelers, more tourists. You know, you look at what we're doing on the waterfront, the revitalization of Ontario Place, the building of the Ontario line, this new airport. It will significantly change the way people interact with the city on a global stage, and that is why it is so important for us to continue to move forward, especially at a time when we face uncertainty from, you know, our greatest trading partner in the past in the South. We need to build these projects to make ourselves more self-reliant, to be more resilient, and that is truly the reason behind the expansion of this project, and also give more opportunities for people in the North to travel as well.
I just wonder what this government's obsession is with downtown Toronto, with the waterfront. I know from being on City Council with the Premier, who was councillor at the time, there was a proposal for a Ferris wheel. So I know that there's the spa on Ontario Place, there's a convention centre, there's there was a jet proposed, but now there's Billy Bishop, and I just wonder, like, don't you, in your riding and your other members, constituents...
Thank you, MPP McMahon. The time for the third party is over. That concludes the first round. We will move to the second round, and we will start with the government. MPP Sandhu.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Minister, for appearing before the committee and for your presentation. I would like to take this opportunity to thank, first of all, you and your entire team, and of course the Premier, for making historic investments in Toronto's infrastructure to tackle gridlock, shorten travel times, and also that will drive economic growth for years to come. And especially your investment, the Ministry of Transportation's investment in expanding the Billy Bishop Airport. And at the same time, we're also building a state-of-the-art Ontario Place that will attract millions of visitors each year. And along with the Billy Bishop, it will be not only, a great boost to our Ontario's GDP, but it will definitely help our small and medium-sized businesses because, our small and medium-sized businesses rely on quick and reliable travel. So can you explain how this project will help those small and medium-sized businesses?
Absolutely, and thank you very much for that question. And it builds, it helps me answer MPP McMahon's question as well, which is, what is the benefit to the rest of the province? It gives travelers across Ontario more options to travel. It reduces, hopefully, the cost of airfare in this province because of the individuals that have more competition in this space and opportunity to travel at cheaper costs. But when we look at it from just the perspective of small and medium-sized businesses, this will help attract significantly more tourists, significantly more traffic into our cities. And when you have more options to travel, you make it easier, make it cheaper, you provide more competition, it allows for more people to get here. And so when you look at what's happening on the waterfront right now with the Ontario Place, which I know you and your team have been working very closely and hard on to get it out of what it used to be, which was just sitting there idle, into a world-class feature on the waterfront. It's about driving more people into our cities, more tourism into our cities that will then ultimately bring millions of dollars of economic output, which supports anyone from a taxi driver, anyone from a restaurant owner to the hotel to an inn owner. Everything is would be impacted through significantly increased access to the city of Toronto and to this province. And if you're using that airport for business travel, it's even that much easier for you to be able to participate in those meetings and participate and have access to Toronto, which is the financial center of this entire country. So not only will it help you connect internally between the province, but it also helps you connect the country, but it also helps you connect to other jurisdictions as well. It would also help a lot of people in northern communities. With Billy Bishop, hopefully we can get more access into the north through air travel. That will drive opportunities, as we continue to build out the Ring of Fire. More investment into that region. It would hopefully drive more tourism and more individuals to get into those communities, which are hard to get to without, in some circumstances, air travel being a possibility. So I think from that perspective, when we look at what is the output from a GDP perspective into the future, $8.5 billion is the number that we can look to that will help then support thousands of new jobs in both construction, operational, and other small and medium-sized businesses. So, that is one of the most exciting parts about this expansion plan is really the full economic potential of what this airport could possibly be.
How much time we have, Chair?
2 minutes.
Okay, I'd like to pass it on to MPP Saunderson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and thank you very much, Minister, for coming today and giving us a more fulsome background on this important piece of legislation. And you've talked about this not just being about Toronto and the economic impacts, and I wanted to pivot a bit on that as a former county council member of Simcoe County. I know the Lake Simcoe Regional Airport is part of the Southern Ontario Airport Network, and it's about leveraging as Pearson hits capacity and other airports hit capacity. There's 11 municipal airports that are part of this, Billy Bishop being one of them. I think, as you said, it's the third busiest in Ontario behind Pearson and the Ottawa Airport. But it seems to me, if you it would be helpful if you could talk a little bit about the higher level planning, because we want to leverage our existing infrastructure, and each of these 11 airports plays a critical role in moving people and goods across the province. And so I know when I was at the table in Simcoe County, they were talking about using that as a cargo airport to shunt cargo away. It's near the 400 corridor, so we need to be near arterial roads. Of course, Billy Bishop being right downtown Toronto makes it an obvious choice for expansion. So I'm wondering if you can talk about the thought process and leveraging existing transportation assets across the province.
Absolutely, no, that's a great question, and I think each airport has its own opportunity, and it's a function of our transportation assets working together collaboratively. How do we utilize the full potential of that? Whether it's cargo, for example, in Simcoe, whether it's business traveler, tourist traveler in Billy Bishop. What this allows is an integrated approach, and it actually allows for more integrated access in between these airports as well. Right now, we see Pearson that continues to expand, which is amazing and great. They've done a wonderful job, but they are at capacity and they continue to build forward. But there is an opportunity for a different
government
type of.
Time is up. We move to the official opposition. MPP Bell, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Minister, for coming in. Has the government done an assessment on the health impacts of expanding Billy Bishop Airport?
We will work with the Toronto Port Authority as they have in the past, and we will continue to do and account for everything from a safety regulation, from a health regulation. Everything will be in compliance as we move forward, and it will be no different from that perspective as we operate with
Thank you for
any
answering the
sort of
question.
airport.
So what I hear, given that you mentioned that you are looking at moving ahead with working with the Port Authority, that a basic health impact assessment has not yet been done. This is from the National Institutes of Health. They've looked at the impact of ultrafine particles, which is the type of pollutant that will increase with an expansion of jet activity in the waterfront. And the National Institutes of Health have found conclusively that this kind of pollution can lead and does lead to an increase in stroke, heart attack, lung cancer, cognitive decline, dementia, asthma, COPD, and premature death. So my question to you is, can the government commit to doing a full environmental assessment, which includes an assessment on the impact of health on nearby waterfront residents, on the impact of the airport expansion before proceeding?
Look, guys, I've said to you
It's
in
a
the
simple
past.
yes or no question.
It's like, as I've said to you in the past, I want to move away from so much of this sensationalized approach to
This isn't
what's gonna-
sensationalized at all.
It is
I'm
absolutely
quoting the
is. Like
National
we're
Institutes of
talking about an
Health.
airport that continues to serve 2 million people every single day.
Minister,
we're going to have
I
the
asked you a
highest
very
standards
clear
of
question.
safety. We're going to continue to have.
Thank you. I'm ceding back my
Minister,
time.
we're gonna
continue to
Minister, I
have-
asked you a very...
MPP Bell. MPP Bell. MPP Bell. The floor is not yours. Colleagues, I mentioned from the beginning, let's be polite to each other. Let the witnesses answer the questions. Don't interrupt them every second, because this is not a productive for the entire proceedings of the meeting. So the floor is yours again.
Thank you. My final question to you is, all levels of government have made a decision to move ahead with housing construction in the waterfront area, and we're now hearing concerns that the expansion of the airport will lead to a decline in housing construction, including affordable housing construction. Have you done an assessment on the impact of the Billy Bishop expansion on housing starts in that area?
I'm confident that
Yes or no?
I'm confident that the expansion of Billy Bishop, everything can work together with respect to that. Whether it's housing, whether it's having an world-class airport that supports millions of passengers and billions of dollars in economic output. Everything can work together and happen at the
So
same time.
what I'm hearing
And
from you
very,
is that
very
you haven't yet done that
confident
assessment.
will
I'm going to be
happen
handing
and
my
that will
time
move
to
forward.
MPP Mamakwa. Thank
And that will
you.
move forward.
MPP Mamakwa,
How much time do you have?
3 minutes.
Miigwech Minister, I know that several times you spoke about northern communities, and I know the air travel in the north, but I know that we can see that the Ministry of Transportation is spending their time and resources defending, the expansion of Billy Bishop Airport in downtown Toronto. I know in 2024, the Northern Ontario Aviation Committee was restarted by regional carriers, to address the increasing regulatory and infrastructure challenges impacting air transportation services in the north. There are members from the Snabiaski Nation, Indigenous Services Canada, NAVCAN, and others. Only 2 weeks ago, we've learned that the Ministry of Transportation, through the remote airport's office, walked away from the committee. Why is this government, why is the management of the remote airport's office walking away from their responsibility to improve air transportation in Northern Ontario?
Well, look, I can tell you that as the Minister of Transportation, we're going to continue to work and ensure that we improve transportation outcomes for those people in the north. Billy Bishop is a part of that plan. One of the most significant beneficiaries of the Billy Bishop expansion would be northern communities. And we've seen how many people are supported in the northern communities through Billy Bishop today. That is exactly what we will continue to do and support over the next couple of years as this expansion continues to build out and as the consultation continues to move forward.
Gilmore.
Thank you so much, Minister. I've been listening intently to what you've said, and my understanding is when you were asked by my colleagues about the business case that you were unable to produce one at the time that supports this $8.5 billion economic potential claim. It doesn't take into consideration the mitigation for the health, for cancer screenings, prevention, care. Similarly, you haven't mentioned the Port Authority's report, which was hidden from Ontarians until a Freedom of Information request brought it to light. It spoke about bird strikes, risk to small boaters that would get knocked down by jet blasts. In addition to this, your own press conference failed to mention that Bill 110 gives your government the entire Toronto Islands. So my question is, why did you not tell people that you'd be taking over the entire Toronto Islands? And if you are not, will you amend the bill to ensure that the islands remain Torontonians forever?
So just to be clear on that, end of the time, we're not going to take over the entire islands. The pins that have been identified are going to be surveyed, and whatever is not needed for the airport expansion will be returned to the city. And I've said that in my conference, and I
so there may be more of the island being taken over for more of the island for the airport.
Every pin that we have put forward has been identified. The entirety of those pins doesn't mean that the entirety of those pins will be
very much
taken.
The time is up. We move to the third party, MPP McMahon.
Thank you very much. Okay, so, so many questions, so little time. Okay, so back to the original question of how we got here. How, you're just sitting around one day and came up with this wild and woolly idea. Were there any conversations with the Mayor of Toronto?
The team, the Mayor of the Toronto, with the Premier, absolutely. He said that in his press conference as well. Conversations, whether she agrees or disagrees is different, but absolutely.
Okay. So it's a tripartite agreement, right? So 3 parties, obviously. So do you believe the province can act unilaterally if this upload happens, if this land grab happens, or do you think the province can act unilaterally on that?
Look, we will continue and continue to have conversations with the City of Toronto, take input from the City of Toronto. What we've made clear is that this has to move forward, and we have to give long-term stability to Billy Bishop. We've heard, numerous times, you were on council as well, that there's individuals that want to turn this into a park, that they want to cease operations at Billy Bishop. We just cannot afford to do that, and something that we're not going to entertain. And so this gives a long-term predictability to Billy Bishop to support communities in the north, more access to air travelers across the province.
So you will require consent from the other 2 parties in the tripartite
agreement. We will take over the City of Toronto's, but
but there are 2. There will still be 2 other parties. Will you require consent from them and work with them, or will it just be the province of Ontario, the government, just steamrolling unilaterally over the island airport?
The Toronto Port Authority continues and has always been, has always consulted significantly on any of their proposals.
So that's
what
a
we
yes.
still have
That's
to.
a yes?
What we still continue to do.
The chair.
Thank you very much. Okay.
What we can still continue to do, MPP McMahon, is have those consultations. Everything will be consulted on. Every plan that is put forward will be consulted on. But we will assume the city's tripartite agreement of their portion.
Okay. And so, for the record, I think the island airport works well as is. I'm not proposing to carve runways carve X's into the runway like Mayor Daley. I'm not proposing to turn it into a park, even though I'm a big green girl. But I think leave well enough alone. Certainly do the safety measures, and RESA 3 would have been, I think, we wouldn't be in this situation had the City of Toronto adopted the runway and safety area of number 3, but here we are. So you have down at the waterfront, Erin Key, you have Little Norway Park, which we know the history. If we didn't before, we know it now. Norwegian pilot training base, very important in our history. You have a pin in that park, so it's looking like you would pave over a war memorial. We also have, I've been involved with Corlick, the Irish immigration event space and museum right by Ireland Park, including this government just gave $2.2 million to them. So how will this proposal affect those two significantly historical entities?
And very clear from the start again, I'm not sure why Little Norway Park became an issue, because we said from the start that
there's a pin in the map there.
And we said that the park would continue to remain as is, or even greater. The Toronto Port Authority has said and confirmed in their release as well. So we'll continue to work with everyone involved in that. Little Norway Park is going to continue to remain a park. The Toronto Port Authority has said that. I've reaffirmed that, and we'll continue to
have you on record. Little Norway Park will be untouched, and the Corlick and Ireland Park will be untouched.
Well, I've said that in the past as well, MPP McMahon, and I've said that it's going to remain a park, and it could be even greater, equal to or greater than what we see, and that's the Port Authority's own words as well, just as recently as a couple of weeks ago.
How do you feel this proposal will affect boat traffic? Cargo ships, Eastern Gap,
1 minute.
Western Channel. How will all these jets taking off, and the expansion and the expensive, complicated underwater infrastructure that will be needed to support the runway? How will that affect boat traffic?
Well, I think everything will be complementary. The Toronto Port Authority, again, once again, is the authority on from a marine perspective on the port there as well. And so you have the ability for everyone to work together very collectively, cohesively, to build a system from a transportation perspective that will work for every one of the users on the waterfront, including on the marine side as well as the Billy Bishop expansion side. Look, this is a project, this is too important of a project not to proceed with.
When will we see the business case?
We're going to continue over the next couple of months. You'll see there's a lot of information will be put to consultation, continue to be put to consultation
if it doesn't,
with the communities.
Okay.
And
if it
Thank you
doesn't
very much. The time is up. That concludes the panel for the first hour. Thank you, Minister, for coming and sharing your input with us. We will take 90-second recess to reboot the mics and also invite the next panel to take their seats. David Crombie and City of Toronto present here, and Northwestern Ontario Municipal Association will join us virtually.